Hey, welcome to Telos Realms, a brand new Minecraft MMORPG made by about 5 people in a shed. In all seriousness, this server has basically taken over my life for the past week. And now that I have approximately 12 hours into this game, I feel like that I'm qualified to talk about it. Anyway, in this video, I'll be going over a few things. Mainly, what is the server, how do you play, and how does it compare to the other MMORPGs that Minecraft has to offer. Now before I start this video, I'm going to have to ask you to like and subscribe, and don't forget to like and subscribe, etc. In all seriousness, I'm hungry for views and for subscribers, so yeah. But please, I'm begging you. Anyway, let's just go in. Right, so what exactly is Telos Realms? Well, how I'd like to describe it is something like an MMORPG mixed with a roguelike. Right, allow me to explain. Once you make it through a beautifully crafted tutorial, you get to choose between 3 different game modes, 2 of which reset your character after you die, and the other basically does nothing. But I'll go over that in a bit. Right, so let me quickly go over those game modes. First off, we have default mode, which is, just as the name suggests, completely default. They can trade, buy stuff from the auction house, and transfer items to other characters. However, this mode is permadeath. I'll elaborate on this in a few seconds. However, let me first switch over to the next game mode, softcore. Softcore is very different from default, and it suggests intended for practice and more casual play. Just quickly, by the way, if you're new to Telos Realms, I genuinely suggest you make a softcore account for reasons that I'll go into in a bit. Right, besides that, softcore players can trade with other players and they cannot use the auction house. However, their profile is not on permadeath. Right, so what exactly is permadeath anyway? Permadeath is a mechanic that starts at level 20. Once you die at or over level 20, you lose all of your gear and all of your upgrades, giving death an actual weight. Hardcore mode makes this a whole lot worse by just deleting everything outright. This also obviously ties into the roguelike comparison I made before. For those who don't know what a roguelike is, basically, whenever you die, you just reset, giving you some upgrades for the future, which is still the case in Telos Realms. This is done with the glory system. Basically, the longer you live and the higher level you get, the more fame you get. And once you inevitably die, all that fame gets turned into glory, which is the game's currency. So now that we've talked about the game modes, let's quickly switch to the more important part. Classes. Telos Realms at the moment has 6 different classes. These classes include Archinist, Knight, Huntress, Necromancer, Samurai, and Assassin. I'll quickly go over all of these. Right, so first off, Archinist. Archinist is a magic type class with a scepter and magic type armor. They have 2 options of abilities that are both focused on damage. However, they're as frail as a coughing baby, being the squishiest class in the entire game. And for that, I can't really recommend it for new players because god damn you die fast! I just died. Next up, Knight. Knight is a melee type class that wields a sword, a shield, or an emblem. Knights can swing their sword, which will create slashes that damage the enemy. Just look at that top tier animation. Their shield can do a shield bash, doing burst damage and giving temporary defense. The emblem gives the user speed and a faster attack speed. Unlike Archinist, Knight is actually one of the tankier classes in the game, while their damage is rather lackluster. After that, we've got the Summoner from Terraria, the Necromancer. Necromancer is a magic type class wielding a wand, a skull, and a grimoire. Necromancer is pretty unique, as with their grimoire, they're able to summon minions to do damage to enemies. This can make Necromancer switch from being the strongest class to the absolute weakest, as with their summons they hit like an absolute semi-truck. But without them, they hit about as hard as a pool noodle. With health and defense, they're quite literally middle of the road. However, they do have an ability to heal with their skull. All in all, a great class. Next up, Izuku Midori Samurai. Samurai is quite similar to Knight. They wield a katana and have heavy armor. However, they wield a kunai and a shuriken, which they use for more damage. Together with the Knight, they are the tankiest class in the entire game. Samurai being a little bit less tanky than Knight, but doing more damage. All in all, it's a great class. But I will think that you're a weeb if you choose it. Now we have the Huntress. Huntress is a ranged class equipped with a bow, a trap, and a bomb. With every shot, the Huntress shoots 3 arrows, dealing a pretty solid amount of damage. Their traps deal a little bit amount of damage and inflict status effects on the enemy. Their bombs, on the other hand, deal even less damage. However, you can use them to rocket jump. 20 points to whoever gets that reference. to escape dangerous situations. This is, in my opinion, also the most fun part of the class. Their HP and defense are once again pretty middle of the road. However, their speed or agility are maxed out, probably because they can basically do stuff like this. Lastly, we have Assassin. The Assassin is a ranged character, using a dagger and light armor just like the Huntress. But for their abilities, they use bottled poisons and a cloak. The bottle can be used to deal high AoE damage, while the cloak can be used to get out of bad situations, basically just to get a jail free card. Their stats are basically the same as the Huntress, middle of the road survivability but with maxed out speed. Also, fun fact, this is the class you started the tutorial with. Right, so now that you've chosen your class and you spawned in, how do you play? Basically, when you spawned in, you walk straight forward to this beautiful globe in the middle of the hub, which will teleport you to a realm. Here, you'll spawn in the starter biome of the game, which is the desert. There's 8 different biomes, all with their own mobs, dungeons, and bosses. But let's take a look at those last 2. Dungeons and bosses. Let's start with dungeons. Whenever you kill an enemy, there's a chance you spawn a portal. This is a dungeon portal. By shifting near them, you can enter the portal. Now to enter dungeons, you need a certain amount of tier points, which are determined by your current gear. Anyway, dungeons have a bunch of enemies with a boss at the end. These bosses are pretty strong, but nothing extraordinary compared to the other bosses we'll be taking a look at. The other bosses are largely event bosses, which are bosses that spawn at set points in the map at certain times. These bosses are all extremely strong. They have multiple phases and deal insane damage. Upon death, they drop dungeon portals with insane stat requirements, with good reasons, of course, as those bosses are even more insane than the event bosses. But in turn, they will obviously drop even better gear. Once all bosses are defeated, a portal will open at the middle of the map. You can get to the middle of the map by going to spawn and crouching near one of these statues, or by asking someone in the chat and using the /TP command. Yes, that's a thing. You're welcome. As of now, I'm not exactly certain of the boss in the middle because I've lost both of my level 20 characters there and I am now tripled with PTSD. All I can really tell you now is that it's obviously really hard, so go in prepared with a large party, and if you're playing on softcore, honestly you have nothing to lose anyway. Now before we move on, I just quickly want to elaborate on loot. Loot is pretty simple. Enemies and bosses drop loot bags. These bags go from tier 2 to tier 11. Here, look at this. That is the chart of all the loot bags in the game. All these bags kind of speak for themselves. Tier 2 to tier 11 loot bags and potion bags. But what about these? Right, so first off you have the companion loot bag. In this bag you can find different pets and mounts. Pets do damage to enemies, kind of like a summon. And mounts are honestly, once again, pretty self-explanatory. Some of them are fast, some of them are slow, and some of them can fly. Besides that, you have UTs, which stands for untiered items. These items are the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, the real gamer's crack. Basically, these are items with unique abilities, often far exceeding tier 11 gear. Basically, in simple terms, gambling. Right, so what are we missing so far? Whatever, I'll just go into a few more miscellaneous things. First off, quests. After a while, you should have probably completed the main tutorial quest line, which, in my opinion, is already way too long, but I digress. After that, you can go to this bloke to start quests. These quests can give you a numerous amount of items, but usually it'll give you a key for a crate, which you can open in the hub. And yep, I'm talking about gambling again. Oh yeah, baby. And honestly, I am pretty sure that is mostly all. Now before I get to the last part of this video, just a quick disclaimer. I know I probably skipped over a lot of important things, but I found out that the official Telos Realms channel is making a bunch of tutorials, so I definitely suggested you watch those if you want to know more. But finally, here we are. Something that I'm sure one of the 20 people who are watching this was asking themselves. How does Telos compare to the other big shot MMORPGs? Mainly, how does Telos compare to Wynncraft and Hypixel Skyblock? Well, as someone who's now played all three with very, varying hours, I can come to this conclusion. If you like grinding in an already large game with a huge community and a big economy, play Hypixel Skyblock. Though, again, you have to be into the grinding, because it's probably one of the grindiest games that I've ever played. Now, if you're more into classic MMORPGs where you complete quests, explore an entire world, and create your own builds for classes, the pick is obvious. Pick Wynncraft. Honestly, in my opinion, it's the best of its kind. I'm just heavily biased towards Skyblock because of my playtime. Now Telos Realms. I would suggest Telos Realms more for casual play, but also for people who like more of a challenge. Now this sounds pretty contradictory, so let me explain. Softcore is a great way to let people play casually, because death doesn't really hold any value. You play the game, you die, it happens, whatever. However, any game mode other than softcore can be used for people who like more of a challenge, because death is much more extreme on those game modes. Now to summarize, if you like grinding in a game with a huge economy, pick Hypixel Skyblock. If you like classic MMORPGs and a game full of lore, pick Wynncraft. And if you like challenging bullet hells and roguelikes, or you just like a challenge in casual play, choose Telos Realms. And that's basically all I want to say about this game. Now before I go, I'm going to have to ask you to like and subscribe, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me up. Right, anyway, sorry for my voice, I was horribly sick all the way through recording this, so yeah. But by the time that this video's up, I'm probably better. Right, so I'll probably see you guys in like a month or two, because man, I got no ideas! Anyway, that's all. See ya!